Novo ARPG Cyberpunk, galera. Um RPG Cyberpunk. Vamos dar uma olhada. O site MMOXP realiza todos os tipos de serviços para diversos jogos há mais de 4 anos. E ao escolher sua forma de pagamento, você coloca o meu código VENOM, galera. Assim você garante 5% de desconto. Link do código, link do site na descrição. Vambora, acelera essa gameplay. É com você. Vambora pro vídeo.
This is Riker, and there's a new ARPG in the works called Carbon. It just hit Kickstarter today. There's a free playable demo. You can check it out right now. And it's just really rare to see
Olha, tá disponível para jogar, hein? Demonstração, já tá em beta. Agora mesmo é muito raro.
sci-fi themed ARPG. This one is cyberpunk flavored specifically.
RPG de ficção científica eu nunca vi. Eu nunca vi um RPG de ficção científica. Então eu espero que seja um jogo de temporadas, né? Porque se for um jogo só de historinha aí não é tão diferentão.
Devs reached out to me, I tried out the demo, I was actually really impressed. I hope to see this game funded on Kickstarter. There's a lot of potential here and I wanted to share with you folks. And in general, that's something that I want to do more of. I want to bring your attention to other ARPGs that are out there. On my website, Riker.com, I've made a new section for other ARPGs where you folks can come and check out non-Diablo games. And that takes us to a word from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Small and short demo is really just to give a tease and an idea of their ideas and what they want to deliver. And I'm also going to talk about what else they plan to do based on their Kickstarter page. So the demo itself, through one rather large level, you start off with a pre-made character, but I believe they're aiming to have, in the end, like 18 unique classes to pick from. Throughout the demo, you see that this is a loot-based game. There's no crafting in the demo, but crafting will be a part of the full game. The demo is single player only, but they're gunning for 4-player co-op. And they're aiming for a seasonal model of content releases.
Cara, o perfil lembra muito Diablo, né? Você vê globo de sangue, globo de mana, 6 habilidades. É o estilo base de Diablo, isso aqui, né? Mas eu tô gostando desse visual. Eu cheguei a jogar um RPG antigaço da Marvel. Quem lembra dele? Não sei porque ele não foi pro ar, mas era da Steam, da Marvel, RPG. Adorava aquele jogo, mano, adorava. Antes de eu pensar em ser youtuber. Não sei que fim levou, mas eu adorava aquele jogo. Quem conhece? Comenta aí.
Every 4 months, new content. Once the game launches. The way their class system is intended to work is that you start as one of 3 archetypes, either agility-based, strength-based, or intelligence-based. Those are your
Shadow Agility, Right Intelligence e Slugger Strength. Caraca, os atributos. Aí cada atributo é uma coisinha diferente, bem da hora, mano. É bem RPGzão, tá ligado?
3 primary attributes. And then regardless of your archetype, you specialize into either bio or tech, and it's within those subsets that we arrive at our final classes. All bio classes have shared characteristics in their mechanics, same thing with tech. And the lore there is basically that
seja com base na agilidade, força e inteligência, esses são os seus 3 atributos principais. Depois, independentemente do seu arquétipo, especializa-se em biologia ou tecnologia. Cara, muito interessante, né? Porque acho que em biologia seria aquele negócio mais tipo Jedi, tá ligado? Tipo poderes mágicos. E tecnologia é armadura, campo de força, arma laser, espada Jedi, os caras, claro. Pô, mano, já quero jogar.
If you are a tech class, you're that cyberpunk, like, augmenting your body with cybernetic implants, and if you're bio, it's more about genetic engineering. Tech and bio have resource generation that operate differently. They have different defensive layers. They even have...
Imagina o teu bonequinho andando de jetpack, mano, passando pra lá e pra cá, metralhando tudo. Mano, deve ser muito maneiro. Tô ligando no radinho, vindo aquelas naves soltando os mísseis como teu especial. Pô, já tô viajando aqui.
Different offensive gameplay. Then, given some examples of the classes themselves, you got the bioengineer, which is sort of like a poison dot build. You infect people with a dot.
Bio trata-se de engenharia genética, tecnologia, e a biotecnologia tem geração de recursos.
You got the mechanic who's going to summon turrets. You got the preacher that's going to damage himself to damage enemies. And it sounds like your town hub is going to be your ship. That's where you're going to have your crafting station. And if you look at their stretch goals, it sounds like they do want to sort of do like the player housing thing with ships where you can have different customizations of your ship, personalize it and stuff. And it looks like the way crafting is going to work is by combining components that you find. For instance...
Cara, eu gostei dessa aparência de itemização, tá ligado? Atrás de mim aqui, ó. Eu gostei dessa aparência de itemização, mano. O item é claramente uma cópia de Diablo, né? O que não é problema, copiar. Você pega o que dá certo, o que funciona e segue essa linha. Mas lembra muito, né? Um item de Diablo. Mas mano, esse negócio de tecnologia, esse visual cibernético, achei muito da hora, cara. Muito da hora. O que vocês acharam por enquanto?
A trigger, a barrel, projectiles, and a sight coming all together to make a gun. All these components are going to have different like modifiers on them. I think it's a cool way to handle crafting.
Sim, Samuel, vou jogar Path of Exile 1. Começando já 31 agora, nova liga de novembro, vou jogar com certeza. Inclusive hoje tem vídeo de Path of Exile 1.
Almost like you're assembling the disparate affixes, but it makes sense like lore-wise. It's not just some ephemeral spreadsheet entries that are coming together to form an item. It's, oh, like this is the...
Por exemplo, um gatilho, um cano, projéteis e uma mira que se junta para formar uma arma. Caraca, vai ter... Tu pode pegar vários dispositivos e fazer uma super arma. Pô, interessante isso aqui. Eu nunca vi num RPG assim.
Grip. The grip gives me, you know, plus to this stat. And here's the sight. The sight gives me plus to that stat. That's, you know, representative of that affix. Now, narratively, the premise of Carbon's story situates us in a post-apocalyptic Earth. Earth has been abandoned. What's left of humanity is surviving in, like, space stations orbiting Earth. And this is some, like... corporate hellscape. Corporations are ruling over these stations. And the most precious resource that these corporations are fighting over is AUGs, augmented humans. We wake up in a black market laboratory amidst chaos with no recollection of how we got here. And we gotta figure it out from there. It's actually going to be at the end of the main storyline that we earn...
Assim, o gráfico tá muito simples. Tudo bem que é um jogo beta, mas o gráfico tá bem genericão, bem simples. O negócio... não tá aquele troço, tipo, realista, tá ligado? Tanto na personalização do personagem, quanto nos inimigos, no ambiente. Não tá um negócio que tu olha e fala, caralho, investiram uma grana aqui. Não tá. Mas dá pra ver que tem futuro esse jogo, principalmente pela ideia, tá vendo? Terra pós-apocalipse, a Terra foi abandonada, guerra da humanidade.
Endgame content. And you'll even be able to customize it, not just visually, but also mechanically. It's going to have modules that you can outfit that are going to transform it in different ways. The ship will have utility slots, engine slots, damage slots. So like, for instance, your ship could be set up to mine for you while you're offline. It could reveal rare enemies on a map. It can grab items from your inventory and send them back to the ship without you having to interrupt your gameplay. And endgame is where the game really starts. They want to add a bunch of different endgame modes and mechanics. Some of the endgame content will be missions, which require you to take your ship. It requires fuel, so there's some element of resource management here. They've also got the Descent, which is an endless tower-style progression system. Now, of course, these are all, you know, just ideas that they want to be able to execute. This is their plan. They do intend...
muita coisa que tem no jogo, mano.
Ideas that they want to be able to execute.
Olha isso, a quantidade da árvore de passivas. Mano, eu quero muito jogar esse jogo.
This is their plan. They do intend to support software, hardcore, solo self-found. They want there to be a trading hub. So let me walk you folks through what we're seeing here in-game on the hotbar. The little foot over here, you have charges on your dodge. Now, there's actually multiple different mobility skills. I have dash equipped, but there's also the roll. That's what you start with. As you level up, you unlock the dash, which we just showed, and then there's also a leap. And so they're all slightly different mobility skills. Technically, I think you can equip all of them, but you have limited slots on your hotbar. So for the build that I'm running, I went with dash because that's what I like. The neat thing about leap is that you're able to leap over certain low obstacles. Now, outside of that, I have my reactive shield here. This is a defensive ability. It's a bubble that moves with me as long as the shield is taking damage from projectiles. I'm not getting hit. It times out after a certain amount of time. It also disappears after it's taken a certain amount of damage. And if enemies come into melee, if they enter the bubble, then I don't think it's helping me. Then I have energized armor, which is more of just a defensive buff. Then I have combat drones. So these are going to spend basically... my strategy is I build up resource up until I'm full. Then I summon my combat drones. So I'm a little bit of a pet build. But it's more just to fill out so that I'm still dealing damage while I'm dodging attacks. My main attack here is explosive rounds. And it's got a whole skill tree associated with it. We'll dive into that soon. My secondary attack is shrapnel shot. So explosive rounds is a generator, and shrapnel shot is a spender. So this is a big heavy hitter. I don't use it as much though, because again, I'm mostly reserving my resource for summoning the combat drones, but I really juiced up my explosive rounds anyway. It does a lot of damage. Now on my QERT up here, by the way, I'm on WASD. By default, the movement scheme is point to click. They have WASD in an experimental mode right now. It could be smoother,
que esse G,
but it's
E,
not
R, T
terrible.
são as poções.
Overall, when we're talking gunplay, I think WASD, any kind of ranged sort of play style, WASD really benefits. But yeah, my QERT, I have loaded up with basically health potions. These could be different things that are on a cooldown timer. You could have grenades, damage grenades, stun grenades. I just want to load it up with different healing potions. So let's open up our inventory now. And a little bit overwhelming and a little bit different again from what we're accustomed to. But instead of like gloves, we're equipping like cybernetic implants. So we're actually equipping different kinds of arms. Is what's happening here. You can see the arm like literally change. But we have different rarities of gear, right? A lot of it is still very familiar to ARPG players. You have your rare, your magic, your mundane. You have various affixes. There are different base types of items. So I'm a sort of evasion. I'm an evasion build. I don't know if that's the actual term. If we bring up here agility, I'm an agility build. And so I skew towards armor and evasion. Yeah, evasion is the defense. So you can have like a strength build that focuses on armor. You can have a mind build that focuses on shield. But you can mix and match. And, you know, there's different base item types that'll have, you know, either only armor or only shield or a mix of armor and evasion, that kind of stuff. A lot of granularity in the myriad affixes that you can get on your gear. You have weapons. There's a weapon swap as well. And the way it works basically is instead of activating a key to weapon swap, you have the skill on your hotbar and it will swap to the skill when you activate that skill. So it's a little bit like in you know, Diablo on a rogue, for instance. If you use your bow power, use the bow. If you're using a melee power, use your appropriate blades. There's a lot of different kinds of weapons. I'm using a shotgun right now as my primary, and on my secondary is what summons drones. And here's the key. You can see granted skills on both these items. The skills that I'm equipping, the combat skills at least, those are dependent on the weapon you're wielding. So if I were to lose this weapon, I cannot use explosive rounds anymore because this weapon is giving me explosive rounds. That's a shotgun specific skill. If I were to use instead a carbine, a sniper rifle, then I have different skills. Ultrasonic shot and puncture. If I use a blade, then there's Tornado, which is a little bit like a channeled whirlwind ability. There's Cleave, Charge. They've really built up a robust melee gameplay as well. It's not just gunplay, but you know, when in Rome, I don't often get a chance to play sci-fi games in the ARPG genre, so I did want to get that gunplay going. So again, it's my Fusion Blaster that's granting me the combat drones that I'm using for my build. And that comes with an offhand. Well, it doesn't come with it, but I can also equip an offhand. This is giving me some shield. Then there's a couple other slots that are a little maybe confusing to ARPG players. You have a spine. So again, we're talking about like implants here. So you sort of have to think of them in that regard. We're not seeing like, you know, jewelry, amulets and rings. It's all very cyberpunk themed. So our spine is kind of what a belt slot would be in a lot of other games. The spine is giving me +3 chargeable slots. That's what's giving me all of these potions. If I didn't have a spine with +3 chargeable slots, right, then I wouldn't be able to equip all of these. Then up here we have grids. So you have, again, different implants. So this is your like optic nerve implants. You have your spine implants. You have your limb kind of implants. Or I guess these are exo. Exo means outside. So they're not implants. They're like supradermal implants, I guess. They exist on top of you instead of inside of you to, you know, power you up in different ways. But these, I guess, are the equivalent of our jewelry slots. I'm using these as a...
É quem tá gostando do bonequinho de arma, mas com certeza deve ter algum bonequinho estilo Jedi, tá ligado? Com aquelas sabres Jedi, com um escudo de... Bom, já tem escudo de campo de força, controle de drones, tem bagulho de você melhorar a tua nave. Cara, muito da hora, mano. Cyberpunk, RPG, jogo Sci-Fi. Cara, muito da hora, mano. Só vai saber se o jogo vai fazer sucesso a ponto de ter temporadas e tudo mais. Por enquanto tá em beta.
Course, to get a lot more strength, agility, my base stats to be able to equip gear. Because, for instance, the Fusion Blaster has a pretty strong mind requirement, which I wasn't meeting at first. But that takes us to our stats. We have, again, agility, mind, strength, very familiar. These are our primary stats. Primary stats, their only real role is equipment requirements, but primary stat gives you secondary stats. So mind gives you sense, strength gives you power, agility gives you reflexes, and those give you different bonuses. So sense is going to give you all resist, shield, drone damage for your summoner builds. Power gives you melee damage, max life and armor. Reflexes gives you precision with your ranged weapons, evasion to dodge and evade damage, and then dodge chance itself. So as you level up, let's bring up the passive skill tree here. As you level up, you're going to have points to allocate. Now, again, I need to clarify, this is pre-alpha. A lot of what you're seeing is work in progress stuff. They have done quite a bit of work on the passive skill tree here, but different ways to allocate skill points. For my build here, I'm going for a ranged build, so I'm going precision, attack speed, ranged damage, damage with two-handed ranged weapons, more ranged damage, more ranged attack speed, all going towards this more powerful node that's giving me area damage, damage over time, global crit chance. But of course, you have your standard array of different things and different ways to build your character, which is pretty cool. Now, sometimes you'll also find, I think they're called data pads. So you unlock more of these slots here. This is going to be at level 30. This is, I guess, already unlocked. I don't have another data pad to put in there, but every skill seems to...
Cara, o nome do jogo, Tricarbon. Acho que é isso. Tricarbon.
...add associated with it. So I have found a data pad for explosive rounds. And what that does is, yes, every skill is going to have its own skill tree. So this is why I spec into explosive rounds, because I found this data pad. I'm like, oh, okay, well now I'm gonna like Giga Blast up my my explosive rounds with all these upgrades, increase projectile speed, increase attack speed, increased damage, explosion size, and all that. Again, we're seeing a lot of question marks here because it's all work in progress, so those haven't been implemented yet. But if we look at Cleave, this is one that they really have pretty much fully built out at this point. And it seems as though there's some special nodes at the end here where we can insert payloads. So I'm loving this, right? Like, one thing I loved about Last Epoch was the skill system, every skill having its own skill tree. So it looks like they're kind of doing something similar here in Carbon. I love that. So we're leveling up skills, customizing them in cool, interesting ways. That's on top of the more passive skill tree, which we were looking at before. Now, there's something else as well, and it's not really available in the demo, but they have something called implants.
Cara, o jogo é muito grande, mano. Que isso? A quantidade de quadros que ele já mostrou de UP parece 2 Diablo 4 já. A quantidade de coisa que ele mostrou, mano, é um quadro disso, um quadro de uma nave, um quadro de passiva, um quadro de itens, um quadro de aspecto. Mano, ele mostrou uns 6 quadros já que você distribui pontos, bota coisas, já dá 2 Diablo 4 aí. Parece um PFSI essa porra.
Able to equip any, but these seem like other gearing slots or modifiers. Apparently we'll be able to upgrade these, and the number of implant slots you have available to you are actually dependent on some of these over here. You can see +1 to chest implants, +1 to head implants, +1 lower leg implants. So that's why I have these unlocked, for instance. So these folks have a lot of very big ideas, very ambitious ideas. Their base funding goal is actually very, very reasonable, but they have stretch goals as well where they plan to add even more features. So overall, I like a lot of their ideas. I like that it's basically skill trees on skill trees on skill trees all over the place for like maximum character customization. I do hope their Kickstarter succeeds. I found the demo really fun, and again, I really like their ideas. You can try the demo for free on Steam. The game is Carbon, the Kickstarter link in the description. And folks, let me know your thoughts. Whether you've played it or not, comment on what you think of Carbon.
Eu vou deixar o vídeo original na descrição para vocês, tá bom? Vou deixar o vídeo original na descrição e aí vocês podem pegar qualquer coisa na descrição. Vou ver também se eu acho mais coisa na descrição para colocar no próprio vídeo original, no nosso vídeo. Mas vai estar o vídeo na descrição original para vocês irem lá se inscrever no canal do Ryker. Mas, cara, muito da hora. O nome do jogo é o Tricarbon, tá bom? Tricarbon é um novo RPG Cyberpunk que, pelo que eu entendi, ainda tá num pré-alpha, mas a ideia eu já gostei demais, cara. Já gostei demais do tipo de jogo, apresentação, quadro de skills, gameplay, tipos de classe, atributos, tudo bem personalizável. Eu gosto de jogo que você vai distribuindo cada coisinha e não o jogo te dá tudo. Você... Não, eu acho que você vai conquistando cada coisinha e vai botando o ponto onde você quer para dar para customizar de uma forma bem diferente e tenha builds muito diferentes. E esse jogo parece que vai ser desse tipo, cara. Eu gostei demais, mano. Gostei demais.
Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Patreon.
Agora tá se encerrando e é isso. Ficando por aqui também. Gostaram desse vídeo? Da hora, né? Da hora, mano. Deixa o like, ativa o sininho, se inscreve no canal. E agora vamos pro próximo react.